Hello brothers of the internet, and welcome to this video where I'll be attempting to build a competitor to the E30 BMW M3 Sport Evolution from 1990. We could try and use that, but it's not really a premium car. There's just various bodies, and I think the best one for me is this, even though that is technically closer to the E30 in general design. It's just too old a body, and I've used this one before. So I'm going to use the 1985 Coupe. Now, for the panel material, I'm going to use corrosion-resistant steel, because aluminium wasn't that mainstream yet, nor was fiberglass or partial aluminium. I don't know. Even partial aluminium, I think, is more an early 2000s technology. It's a 1990, so we don't have the most technology available to us. However, I'm thinking, I don't know for this, we could have corrosion resistant steel, which I believe is better for corrosion than, no, is it? Ah, yeah, it is better. I just struggle to read. Now, I'm going with front transverse, reasons of which will become more notable, more sure-footed later on, but for now, that's missing apparently, I don't know. I'm surprised no one else has bothered to make an E30 competitor in this game. I mean, you'd think, being such a popular car, it would come along sooner. And what has it put on the rear? I'm guessing they're double wishbone, am I correct? Yes, I am, even though it weren't selected. Now, there's various suspension technologies I could use. I'm pretty sure trailing arm is what an old BMW used, like the E30 and many other models. So we also have torsion beam, but boot space isn't the priority here. It is a sports car, so we have to manage to maintain the sportiness. There's our body. Probably too large, but the point remains, if I can get this to work, I'm getting it to work. Because I just want a change of design, really. It may affect the weight really negatively, at which point I will have to change the body. But until that happens, I'm reasonably happy with it. There we go. Beautiful. Just try and... There we go. That version was a bit slanted the wrong way, I think. Can we have that out? Trying to think. Looks like something from Burnout now. Do we need such massive doors? Probably not. I've gone for the Ignosis style. I've done an Ignosis and I've put the maximum passenger space possible in. Doesn't look very sporty, mine, though, and it's not the best for weight balance, so we'll move that back. I think the body's large enough, thankfully, so we shouldn't have to worry too much about it. Maybe bring that forward just a little. I don't know. I'm not trying to build a limousine. I have to remember that. For now, I don't know what I'm doing with paint. Can we get rid of that? Yeah. Brutal black. For now, that'll do. I'll change it later. But it's menacing and all matte black. I would flare the wheel arches, but I'm not sure what I'm dealing with for tyres yet. So I'll have to wait and see with all that. What can we use for headlights? I have to remember it's a 1990. It's not a modern car, so I don't want modern lights. But at the same time, I don't want old lights. They don't look good. Maybe it's just the colour. Maybe it's just the fact that it's a matte colour and not a proper glossy one. I could make it plastic. Yeah. A modern car pretty much then. Yeah, we'll have it pink. A pink muscle car style thingy. Can we have another one of these? Maybe. No, I can't get to like this with the round lights. It's such a square car, they just don't work at all. Although, could we perhaps use some of these? No. They just look too odd on the edge. I want to find some lights. Ooh. No, we don't want headlights down there. These are passable, I think. The alternatives don't look particularly good. Can get chrome on it, but it doesn't really fit with the car. Unless I have a chrome grille, actually. Maybe I'll do that. BMW sports cars might not have chrome on, but mine sure do. Yeah, it sure looks a little odd. I think I'll go with the chrome ones to tie it together with a nice chrome grille. Hopefully I can find a chrome grille. Come on. No? There's got to be a chrome grille somewhere. But until then, until I find it, I guess we'll just have to use one of these. Doesn't look too horrible. White. White. Come on. It looks very American. Make of that what you will. Maybe I could use black instead. Maybe not plasticky, cheapy looking black, but instead a nicer kind of look. I don't know. I like it a little more. I don't really like that. Yeah, I think it's good enough. It's less than hideous, but I just can't get to like those lights. But at the same time, the alternatives are not particularly nice, so it's hard to say. Should I go with a scoop? Sure. Scoop. Scoop, scoop, scoopity scoop. Yeah, do a Subaru with it. And just put a massive scoop on. That'll do, I think. This is supposed to compete with a German sports car. And it's probably not going to do that on the looks front. Unless I can somehow magically turn this round. I'll give a look at the bumper bars, though. Even though they are really falling out of date now. Maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to get one to work on this car of all things. And I should actually be able to get to chrome as well, if all goes well. Come on. No. It looks like something very weird. It looks like it's in the middle of a sandwich. Oh dear. So what do we have for trim? We have chrome trim there. That looks reasonable. Carbon fibre, yes. A bit too expensive of a time though. Can just go with brutal black there. And maybe pink on the mirror stalks if it lets me. No, it doesn't. So all wheels. Brutal black. Now it's beginning to look like a bit of a Weiser. Don't want that. Chrome? Nah. Just go with steel. Is there anything we can have on bumpers? Ah. Can change those, but we can't change the bumper bars. Sadly. So I don't know. Doesn't seem to be anything I can do with it. The bumper's kind of grown on me now, though. Have another look at the grille, see what we can add underneath it. It's so happy. Yeah, I can't refuse this now. It's just smiling too much. Just look at how happy my car is. So happy with this bumper. How could I ever take that away from it? Well, kind of happy at least. Can we fit these here? I meant to put kind of spotlights on, but I've gone on indicators now and put indicators on, so I'm not going to change it. It'll take too long. Put a fuel filler cap on. I have to say, it could have gone horribly wrong, though. I have to say it looks less than hideous now. At least not as hideous as it could be. And for me, I think that is a success. Let's do a Mustang, actually. Let's do a Mustang and have the fuel filler on the rear like that. It's looking a lot more like a muscle car than I would have expected, but in not a hugely horrendous way. Can we put another bumper bar on the rear? will it let us? Can put a spoiler on or a wing. I think we'll go with a spoiler. Just a shame you can't put anything big on. Come on. You shall fit. Thou shalt fit on thy boot lid. And that can be stretched out like so. There we go. Can we put a badge on? I do have a plan behind all this madness, believe me. There we go. So every time you fill it with fuel, it actually looks better than just having the badge on its own, if I'm entirely honest. Come on, bring it down just a little, try and get it to fit. There we go. That's our crazy fuel filler cap. I'm spending longer on this design than I probably should, but I'm enjoying it, so, you know, the experience is something. To think this was supposed to be an E30 M3 rival, now I'd hate to throw this design away finding out it's too heavy. I'll probably just find a way to make it work, let's be honest. The E30 isn't ridiculously light though for what it is. There are lighter cars of its era and of its size, so I'm not too concerned about that. Can have a little sticky up aerial, like so. And with the badge on there, it does look better, I will admit. Less generic. As I was saying, I do want a bumper bar on the back, so I'll hopefully fit one. You can stretch out. There we go. Maybe we could fit some lesser bumper bars along the edges of the car. Kind of rounds it up, even if they aren't exactly perfect colours for what I'm trying to achieve. I would have liked to have them chrome, that's for sure, but I don't think I'm getting that. Can have one down here as well, make it look a bit more like an old muscle car. Come on, stretch out. There we are. Who would choose this over an E30 M3? I'm not really sure. Me, I guess, because I built it. That's something. If I would accept the car. Can we go with handles somewhere? Where are you hiding? We've got number plates. Sadly, they won't go on the bumper bar. So I'll have to leave those out because surely the number plate would go on the bumper in real life. I'll admit though, this is quickly growing on me. The look is never going to be beautiful, but it should work for the car's intended purpose, which is a sports car, not necessarily a coupe. There we go, I think that looks okay, even if it's not as functional. And we need some nice tail lights to go with our Mustang fuel filler cap. Tail lights, where are you hiding? Maybe have some of these ones? No. Yeah, basically making it look like a whip-off Mustang back here. Or maybe a second generation Mustang, did it look vaguely like this? I don't know. Either way, it's too much of a muscle car for what I'm aiming for, but at the same time I'm quite proud of it just because I got a vehicle working that I didn't think I could get to work visually. Can we have any mini headlights to act as reversing lights, hopefully? Because if I just fit these on the side, like so. No. Little lights. Little lights you're supposed to move. That'll work. Close enough, as I say. Right on the edge of a bodywork, though. And I'll sadly need to try and remove it. Well, not remove it, but move this whole thing down just so it works. Like such. I think that's gone quite well. I've basically whipped off many different muscle cars. But it's something. Now, fence, yes. Have some of these. To reflect on the rear of my car. Also make that kind of smile. There we go. The bumper. Maybe this can just have a number plate here. It fills space. So why not? And there we go, I think. Overall, a less than terrible design. Although it's not perfect. Although no one will be hanging this on their wall in 20 years. It's not horrible. And I'll take that as a success. Ooh, so many engines. But we're going for an inline 4. Yes, it defies its looks. It's going to have an inline 4 and all-wheel drive. I'm thinking a cast iron block and an aluminium head should be pretty standard for this era of vehicle. And it can be 2.2 litres as well. Everything will be gone over by the time it's finished, so it won't stay like this forever. We can have overhead cam, 4 valve per cylinder, aluminium. I mean, this is just a solid enough engine. It's not going to be perfect by any means, but then it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to beat what's in the BMW. It will be naturally aspirated. I think we can go with some forged internals. Should be enough without being crazy high-end race stuffs. And VVT? Sure, we can have a VVT in it. We don't want a turbocharger right now. Turbocharged model maybe can come later to compete with the E36, but not right now. And for now, single point electronic fuel injection, although I may go to multi-point if it's needed. We can go with regular fuel, and that should do us quite nicely. Just increase the rev limit a little. The exhaust, what do we want? Try and balance development time and everything. I don't know. So, what are we looking at for weight? Yeah, when you go to the cast iron ones, it seems to add a lot over the aluminium ones. It also doesn't look anywhere near as good, so I'd like a tubular, I think. What about development time? I did look before at one engine, and the difference between tubular and long tubular are tiny, so I think I'll go with tubular to save a bit of time. Yeah, engineering time 3.2, 4.2. But it's 0.9 on shortcast, so I'll have to try shortcast if I can get it to work, just because the development time is nowhere near as high as it is on the other one. Can we go with a high flow catalytic converter to help keep it muffled and everything, and one muffler for now? No, not to keep it muffled, to keep it economical. There's the word. We've got a 49 horsepower engine now. What is this, a 2 litre from a Beetle or something? If that even had a 2 litre engine at any point. 125 currently, but it's set to change, and I will try and mess with it to get more power out of it. I believe a solid enough base for the era though, so let's hear it run. Well, other than falling apart, that's not too bad. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to basically finish the car and then return. It's amazing how it defies looks though. I must say that now. It looks like it's going to be a longitudinal rear-wheel drive car, and then it's transverse front-wheel drive. I don't really like it actually. I may just go for an inline 6 and rear drive because I feel it would suit the look a lot better. I guess I'll just have to see how it plays out in terms of weight, and if there's enough to be saved, then I will change it. I guess it could look like a skyline if I try and mess with that a bit. I know I've not duplicated that, I should have really. We could go with an automatic, which it shouldn't have. It should always be a manual 5-speed for this era. And you know what, I'm thinking I'll make it rear drive. It has just taken me though, but I'm not really liking having the other bits. Can I? Oh dear. Windows problems. Okay, so the game got a little unhappy there, but I have returned now with a engine and a new bit of trim there, and otherwise the same car that you know and love. Or maybe not love, but the same car you know. There you'll see it's a turbocharged engine. I'll get onto all of this later, but for now we've got to quickly shift through these menus and see what we can get. I think with the BMW getting 154 miles per hour as its top speed, I'll settle for 150 for now, and then that should be a good start. Whichever differential is the cheapest is probably what I'll go with. It's got a decent amount of power, but by no means a ridiculous amount, so I'll have to try and think about that. Geared is a lot more. They're cheaper, but they're not performance differentials. So vicious is what we're going for. We've got presumably a need for some medium compound tyres. Again, the power isn't ridiculous, but it's not hugely weak at the same time. And oh dear, looks like I'm going to have to wide body it slightly because they are not solid width tyres. 205s. The BMW has 225s. How will we compete with that? 235s, yes. Now it looks a bit more like a Mustang. I just can't stop it, I'm sorry. I've not mirrored some other piece of trim though, so it would seem like a good opportunity to move along through these menus and fix that up. Can we... we need to go to this side and we need to go on the mirror feature, which should just about mirror it on the other side. These bits also on the side, I want to get rid of those and fit larger bumper bars because it would work just so much better. Now I've got the flares, Fender Flares. Can we spread this out? Yes. I think this will look better at least. I could be wrong. Maybe it looks slightly more of a European car with these curves on it. I'm not too sure. I feel like I'm just building an underpowered muscle car now. If it isn't light, I'll have to do something about that. But it has got independent suspension, and I don't see why else it can't really compete with a BMW, other than being a larger car. So, there's our engine, 225 horsepower. As I say, I'll get onto it later. But for now, we've got to adjust the tyre size and the wheel size. I think we can make these a little bigger. They don't really look filling. And we can maybe go with something... Oh. They are a little wide. Maybe I'll have to make them narrower because they are very wide tyres. They don't quite fit in the body as I'd like. There we go. It's not perfect, but it's something. The front's pretty nice. The rears maybe need a bit more. And there we go, there's our vehicle, so far. If only you could go with a sunroof. Sadly, mods don't work on this version of the game. And weirdly, the standard version of the game doesn't work on this computer, so not much I can do about that right now. Plus, this version is so much nicer looking than the standard version. Interesting, so I can actually fit 19s without much width change. 225s, and they have some nice looking wheels. Pretty big for the time, but then it's handling them after, so 18s it'll have to be. I'm slightly concerned of how large this car is though, if it absorbs 18-inch wheels like that. I think we can go with alloy wheels. Again, maybe I could go with magnesium or something if it comes to reason that it's not really a light enough competitor and I need to save some weight here and there. I think we can go with vented discs on the front, same as the BMW had 2 piston. I'm not sure what that had for pistons, to be honest, but this is working for me. The huge wheels are always a benefit here because remember we can fit huge brakes, and that is always going to help round a course or a track. I think that's just the colour selection, sadly. Here we have the wheel selection now. What do we have available? Oh, they look good. Not quite as nice as I would like. 19-inch version of those would look really good, but then that does begin affecting the ability to corner, and I don't like that one bit. We don't want to mess with the Wim offset right now. Not really. I could actually go with double wishbone suspension on the front, I'm thinking. Again, it may be a larger car, but if we can manage that weight, that would always be a good thing. But at the same time, a question if this is even powerful enough to use the benefits that suspension technology would provide, because it's just not an ultra high power vehicle. Those brakes are absorbed really easily, 325s. I'm not sure what wheels the Beamer has either. Maybe I should try and read this page a bit more thoroughly. It revs to 7,250, mine's only 6,900, despite this being a smaller engine that should be revving higher. It's strange how these things work out. I'll just stick some solid pistons on the back and we'll go back to that. Now, yep, we both have multi-point fuel injection. Fully clad under tray. I'm interested now in what top speed and things I can get. We can only have 4 seats, sadly. You'd think there'd be space back there, maybe not. There's my whip-off Mustang rear end. It looks worse now I look at it again. Let's get back to the front. We can go with a premium interior. With a premium cassette, maybe? Sure. And hydraulic power steering. No traction aids. No safety, nah. I think we can have standard safety. And standard stuff here. Gas monotube dampers, though. Set it up for... Should we settle for comfort? Nah. It says sports car to me. That looks good, actually, when lowered on sports suspension. This is a properly nice looking car. Flare that out a bit. And move on. I feel the bumper needs to be wider now. It just doesn't quite fit. The rear bumper as well, maybe? No, that looks fine. Front one just doesn't quite work with the body. Oh dear. Now, we've got 7.39 naught to 100 kilometers per hour, whereas the BMW does it in 6.5, I believe it was. Yeah, 6.5. However, if we go back to the transmission, can we see here? Yep, there we go. Bring that up. Oh dear. Well, I said, oh dear, the top speed is low. I'm guessing this is a heavy vehicle. I should probably have checked back at that menu, but I didn't. So, design. Can we see anywhere here? Where are you hiding? 1579 kilograms. Right. Time to bring out the big guns. Make a Lotus to compete with it then, basically. And... which is heavier? Doesn't say. Tameness. Double wishbone makes it tamer. Since I'm going for a grittier feel, it also lowers the front a little by the looks of it. Yeah, if for nothing else, I just like the look of double wishbones. Does that make it any tamer, or does that make it less tamer? No, it's not really saying right now for me. Ah! Apparently double wishbone is more tame. So there's sportiness and tameness which get confused quite easily where I'm looking. Or maybe not actually. I don't know. No, it does make it tamer. Not really with solid axle coil or leaf. Right, we're going with double wishbone all round. Just look at that sporting look. I don't think the BMW can compete with that now. Fiberglass for our body. And a galvanised steel unitary construction. We're getting somewhere. It's heavier though. I do have some extra torque in my engine, but it is heavier, and there's not much I can think to do. Although we could get rid of a premium cassette, that doesn't even weigh that much in the beginning, so hard to say. I guess we could just make sure it can use the power, but then that's not always the solution. Should we go with ladder? That would be an interesting way of doing things now. It's not sporty enough. I think if we go with... Could go with carbon fibre, but then that would really increase the price. Far beyond what I think the typical M3 owner would be able to afford. Weight is not changed by any of that stuff. It's just hard to really find a way. Look through all these menus. Hopefully I can find something. I might have to just fight it with power, the way things are going. The 0 to 60 time has improved though. As I think the top speed may have, ever so slightly. And we have the same old tyres. I will find a way. Now, maybe we go with a standard interior, but I don't want to turn it into a muscle car. I still want it to be a European performance car in many ways. We could perhaps change the dampers, but I want the better dampers on it. And I will find a way, and then I will return. Okay, so here we have the vehicle, the final vehicle, after I've taken it around the test track, where I'll get onto the time later, but for now I'll talk through some of the changes. The front is completely unchanged, as is the side, other than the wheels, which are now 19 inches, and the rear. That's changed quite drastically, because I really didn't like the look that I had before. So I basically changed it to something I feel looks at least a little more elegant. And it has 2 boot handles because I didn't want to change my special branded fuel filler cap ordeal. So that's the design. And the double wishbones do give it a really nice low stance. I like that about it. Anyway, moving on. We can see here. Yeah, same thing. Nothing really changed. I could paint it, but the pink has actually grown on me quite a lot, if I'm honest. Here we have the engine, yes. A huge amount of turbo lag, but get past that and we have a 305 horsepower engine which makes 343 torques. These are great figures, honestly, for what was supposed to rival, what, a 235 horsepower car. Anyway, moving on, I've had to use some heavier duty conrods and pistons because lower end versions just wouldn't take it. Cast iron crankshaft is fine though. And we have quite low compression. I've tried to optimise it as best as I can. Quite a high cam profile, but not the highest, because I do want some decency to the power curve. Hence why you see this kind of lump up here, whereas it's a bit weak here. It gives you that usable power. I'm probably not making myself clear. Either way, I'm happy with the power curve, is what I'm trying to say. Now, we have a large radiator, or intercooler as it is. Huge makes no difference whatsoever, hence why I've decided upon it. Turbine, I think, is on the lowest setting. No, almost on the lowest setting, because you don't really need that high. Having a high compressor and a high AR ratio, to me at least, does a better job. We're running quite a bit of boost, over 20 PSI as well. And that's all in all quite a reasonable engine I think I've built. We have multi-point injection. I didn't know it was 12 per cylinder. I must have changed that at some point to get that extra bit of power from it. Maybe I could pull more power out of it. Yeah, but there's not much at this point. It's already quite a large exhaust as well. I don't want to make that even bigger. Still, there was something I missed out. Yeah. We have a reverse flow muffler, and then it's just a pipe that goes out the car, basically. I believe this engine is slightly lighter than what I had before now, because it's also 2.5 litres with an aluminium block, so the weight is kind of contradicted. I did forget to mention that, but I have adjusted the dimensions as well. It's more or less the same size as the BMW's engine now, just with a massive turbocharger, and the same number of cylinders as that car. So, that's something. Ooh, we can mess with this. I don't know why I am. 19.2 miles per gallon. Where have all those come from? It didn't used to be that good. Ah, yes, I adjusted the cooling. That's why. But 19 miles per gallon, pretty poor. The BMW is far better, but then that's far less powerful. So things work out the way they work out. The sport tyres are what I've used, with 235s front and 245s rear. So you'll see there, fairly nice tyres. Double wishbones do allow me to fit wider tyres than other suspension types as well. I'll mention that now. It's always a good thing about it. And I really do like the stands at the moment. I could change a rim offset to put them more inwards, but it's not necessarily good for performance because that gives it a lower centre of gravity, theoretically moving the wheels out, and it just looks cool above all else, so that's why I'm keeping it that way. We'll have vented discs front and rear. This is all the money. This is where all your money's going. So yeah, it makes quite a good track car because it's got good brakes. 70% pad type because it should be more of a race car. Oh wait, I'm just seeing plus more comfort. I think plus is... I think maybe higher pad type is better but worse for reliability. I don't know. It's hard to say. It just looks like putting a higher pad type on makes the car immediately better, which is odd. I thought they were just more race bias brakes. Anyway, we do have a fully clad under tray. And it's not aerodynamic, but it uses brutal power to get to speed. I'm just thinking it looks vaguely like an ETKI series or an Audi Quattro from the front. There's an odd combination of cars in this thing, that's for sure. The rear is just a bit ugly, but better than it was, that's for sure. And we've got 53. I've given it enough cooling airflow and I've given it 2 on brakes. Enough, I think, to work with. We've got a basic cassette player because weight has to be saved somewhere. And I don't want to sacrifice power steering. We've got sport suspension, just press that again for some reason. It does look nice to my eyes, though, I will admit. And it's... oh. Where's all the weight dropped off? Seriously? 1233 kilograms? Have I badly messed something up or something? I don't recall it ever being that light. Still got 4 seats. Very odd indeed. It's just, that's why. Carbon fibre. Okay, I did change that to carbon fibre. How is the cost has flown up massively. I must have just been messing around with it. Right, without the carbon fibre chassis making it stupidly light, it's $25,000 though, which is very decent. However, BMWs were supposedly going for 30,000 to 40,000 and this has got pretty much every high-end part in existence on it, including magnesium wheels. So I don't know why this is so cheap compared to that. I can only assume it's a problem with automation. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set it up a bit again and then take it around the test track with some new setups, but this is just most of the changes I've done. Okay, so it's set a time of 2:20.67. Not bad, you know. Maybe it has got some ETKI series in it after all. So, as I was saying, I have changed one major thing, or 2 even for that point. I've got a standard interior instead of a premium just to save a bit of weight, as well as larger brakes and disc brakes on the rear, which have overall helped get the kind of performance I would like from it. And safety is the same, safety is standard 80s. So, all in all, I think I've built a good car. Is it a rival to the E30 M3? Maybe not. It is reasonably cheap for what it provides, but then that's probably because it sacrifices on interior quality. Yet if you want a sports car, if you want a performance car, it does surely fill that box, because we've got double wishbone suspension front and rear, which is fairly advanced. We've got a nice turbo engine making over 300 horsepower. Very, very good actually. That's M5 levels for the 1980s. So, you know, it holds on to the point very, very well. And huge brakes. I guess the wheels and board suspension are really the only thing that puts people off, because it's a firm vehicle that's slightly harder to live with. But at the same time, I guess it's just coolness you're paying for. It has come on the leaderboard amongst some very good competition though. You may not have thought it just looking at the speed rating. Speed I got of a 220.67, but that is the exact same time the Speedy Me Bob set. So this old sports saloon, admittedly very dedicated sports saloon, has managed to fend off somewhat a modern sports car, and that is impressive, because that Speedy Bob I built, that was not such a bad car, and it has held up very well on the leaderboard. It is also below the Glued Banana, which is front wheel drive, but that was so incredibly light, and it's much more modern, so we can forgive it for that. It's below Speedy Bob RS, but just above the Wetro Me Bob V8. So, yeah, it's beaten a 16-year-old supercar to this point. Not 16-year-olds today, but by the standards of 1990, that was a 16-year-old supercar. Ooh, thanks to this beautiful turbo engine. But as I was saying, that is a supercar nonetheless. 16 years old, but still a supercar, and it was beaten by this sports saloon. I'm very happy actually. Ooh, I'm just thinking maybe I'll have to build a 90s Range Rover next. I'm getting too good at sports cars. So I think I'm going to leave it here, since everything that's needed to be gone through is gone through. Show you the markets very briefly, and actually the engine. My mouse is just going all over the place for no reason. The engine though, I did forget to let you hear it, so I'll do that and then I'll go. So there we go, quite a nice sounding engine in my opinion. But you know, I'm going to leave it here. Ooh, screwdriver. I'm going to leave it here and say goodbye until another day.